Okay. Let you guys trickle in. I was gonna do a stream last night, but it was just getting so late. It was like 10:20. And I don't know, I wasn't in the mood, to be honest. I'll give you guys a couple minutes so you guys can come on in before I start the short Q&A. And yes, I'm doing a short Q&A. Like at most 30 minutes. I haven't done one in a while. It's been a few months. How cold is it there? It's like -8 right now, and it's snowy outside. It was very snowy. I was out in it earlier, and I was trying to drive in it, and my car was like swerving around because the snow was too powdery. Holy shit, it was scary as fuck. I just went home. My car is not made to drive in this type of weather. From Sidekick, are you doing another ambiance video soon? Actually, I'm planning on making one today. Like a short one, like only like a 20-minute one. But yeah, that'll be up, I think, after this video. I think we should get started. So this is gonna be a short Q&A about the Alchemist and the Far Below novella that I released in early December. So you guys can ask me any questions about it. I know there may be some people in chat that have not read it. So try to not mention too many spoilers, because if someone who hasn't read it, that would be kind of shitty if people just started spewing spoilers about the story when someone hasn't even had a chance to sit down and start it yet. So you guys can ask me a few, but not many. But I just want questions about the Alchemist and the Far Below. Okay, first question. This is from Riley. How did you come up with Tales of Tyrmit? I mean, it hasn't been a new idea for very long. Like 2 months. It's basically been a new idea. Or actually, I think even less than that. I don't know. I agreed, and also my girlfriend agrees, that it would be neat if I continued to tell stories within Tyrmit that don't necessarily have any affiliation with the Hugo the Bloodless main storyline. Because I love this world that I've made and I've created, and I love it. I love the bone and blood and guts of it, and it's one of the most proudest things I've ever created, I think. And I've started like an occult following. I don't know. I just thought it would be cool, to have like a character set like 600 years in the past in Tyrmit, or it could be, or it could be like in a different location, like in Modeg or a Tor or the Eld or the Seld or something. Like, it's just a really unique take, and I could just tell other people's stories, and they don't necessarily have to be books. I don't think any of them will be like a full-fledged book. The most it'll be is like 200 pages, because once you start getting over that 200 mark, I think it's like 230, it starts becoming a book. I think 230 is the limit to when it's considered a long novella. But on page count, I mean. And so I think, so most of them will be short stories or novellas, even a poem here and there. I am currently writing another one. It's a little bit shorter, and it's made for children, but that's all I'm going to say about it. But I don't know, I thought it would be cool to tell other stories, like even one, about a load-in or something like that, and have them set not only in different time periods, but different parts of the world, different characters, male or female or child. And I don't know, it will keep the world alive, in my opinion. It will keep it fresh while you guys are salivating over the release of the actual Hugo the Bloodless novel. And yes, I said that, guys, salivating. It would keep it going, basically. And I can do so many. There's so much potential with it, because the world is so vast and there's so much like lore and history to it, that I essentially could probably create. I mean, I'm sure there's like a point where I can get where it's just like, okay, I think I've pushed its limit and created enough with it. But there's still so many new ideas and so many new avenues I could take to tell a story that's set in Tiermint. And it's just appealing to me. I just like that. And it's really fun because it allows me to explore other character arcs and storylines and plot devices. And it allows me to kind of get to explore other parts of the world except for only where Hugo goes, you know? And I could write about anyone. I could write about a baker. I could write it about a princess. I could write it about a farmer. I could write it about a student at the university. You know, it doesn't matter. It could be anything I want to make it to be. And so I think that's what's so exciting about it is there's so much I can do with it. And it will not only keep you guys interested and you guys wanting to read more, and it also will allow me to explore other lore of the world and history and religion and magic and kind of and creatures, and just explore not only just different environments, but also just different things in the world. And I could like elaborate and explain more. So like you have the main book, you read the main book and it's great. But then you're like, oh, he has like 20 other Tales of Tiermint short stories and novellas that I can read that even give further information about how the world works and what's going on in past, present, or future. Question 2 from Tohawk. Will there be more Tales of Tiermint? Have you had some ideas for them? Yes, there will definitely be more periodically. I do have to like come up with writing them and like what story I want to tell, so it does take a little bit of time. But once I start getting the gears going, it can get done pretty fast. Yeah, I have like an Elodin story I kind of have slightly started. I want to write a story about Devi. I maybe want to write a story about a tinker. Or like a moneylender in the Seld, or like a poet in the Small Kingdoms. Like that would just be really fun. So yeah, that's the other, it kind of comes in the first question. Like it's all bled together that there's so many things that I could do with Tales of Tiermint and kind of like its own mini series attached in the same world and to the same story. And necessarily most of them will not be connected at all. There will be a few, like the Elodin and the Devi one will be like connected. Maybe even one about Nina and Yil will be kind of connected. It will be in the same time period. But most of them will just be standalones within the same universe. But yeah, it's fired up some new ideas for me. Question 3 about Dacopa. What was your inspiration for The Alchemist and Far Below? My inspiration for it was I wanted to tell a different type of story. I wanted to talk about serious things from a child's perspective. And I know I've released a lot of more serious and sadder stories the last year, and I am aware of that, and I do plan to write lighthearted stuff in the future more often to kind of balance that light and dark a bit. So it's not just always like super depressing stories, even though that's what I like to write, and I like writing dark, heavy material. But my inspiration was I wanted to go against a story, like a regular basic storyline. I didn't want to have really much dialogue or no dialogue at all. I originally was not going to have any dialogue, but I thought actually just adding him singing, because he only sings 6 times in the whole novella. And so I thought that would be not only just beautiful, but also just interesting. And also have it rhyme, which was fun to write. But my inspiration was I just really wanted to explore the Underthing more, because you don't get much of it in Hugo the Bloodless for a reason for that. Don't ask me. Do not ask a question about that. But it would give me a chance to elaborate on the Underthing, and you get to see it more and kind of see what it looks like. Because I feel like I've painted a pretty good picture of what the Underthing physically looks like. Yes, you have, Jack. Thank you. Yeah. The Underthing is such a mysterious place. It's a very old place. It was just kind of fun to write a story that was kind of just set underground. And it's like damp and wet, and it's hot and cold, and there's steam and pipes and water and crumbling stone. It's just an interesting environment than just setting it in some town, you know? I just wanted to write it in an environment that was unique, and I wanted to explore the Underthing more and tap into its lore and kind of like what it's like living down there for long periods of time, and kind of like revealing a couple secrets along the way. Because I love secret things and I love magical things. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. Question 4, how'd you come up with Win? It wasn't really that hard to come up with this character. I just wanted, I knew I wanted to write it from a child's perspective. And I wanted to write it in a way, I wanted a character who was not only resourceful and smart, but also broken and damaged. And I wanted him to go on this adventure with himself. And that's kind of how Win was birthed, honestly. Like, I just kind of wanted an interesting young boy to write about and kind of delve into his personality and his weird quirks and stuff. Did you originally want to do something more with the Underthing outside of Hugh the Buttless? Not at first, actually. I was going to reveal more of it in the book way later on before he leaves the university for good. But it's hard because it's from his perspective. It's from his perspective, and it would be hard to describe it in the way I described it in the novella. Because Win is a lot like Ori. They're very different in ways. They obviously don't talk the same, but their minds are the same. I originally wanted, not at first, but thinking about it, I wanted to explore it more in an offhand story. It's one of the best novellas you've written. It's so beautiful, Jack. I was so enthralled by it just after the first chapter. In your author's note, you said it doesn't follow the trend of a classic story should. Did you write it differently at the start? Thank you very much. That was nice of you to say. Yes, I did. It was actually originally kind of an adventure story and mystery story of kind of just this kid running around the Underthing and just kind of collecting items and things. And as I started writing more and more of it, I think it was when I got into the 3rd chapter is when I decided to take it in the direction that it went. Because I just wanted then to tell a beautiful story about the small things and about about nature and about being alive in such a big place by yourself and kind of having it all to yourself. And having his little iron kingdom, ruling over it all. And because he saw that as his home. It was his home and it was his enemy. And so, because the Underthing, it is very unforgiving, especially to a boy. And it is very dangerous down there. But it was also his friend because it provided him supplies and supplements and helped him live to a degree. Like, obviously not like it would be on the surface, like in a town or a village, but he survived longer than most people do down there. I didn't want to follow the classic story. I just didn't want to, we in English and in high school and even in middle school, we're led to believe that we have to follow these basic principles in the English language, and we fucking don't. Like, you can't start a sentence with an and or a but or put a comma after a certain thing. Who gives a shit? Honestly. Like, if you're writing a story like The Alchemist and the Far Below, who gives a shit? Make it however you want to make it. And that's how I looked at it. But it turned from a weird adventure story with barely any dialogue, and it's just like you read about this kid just doing things in his day-to-day life over a course of 7 days. What items mean to this kid, and what his mantle means to him, and what the Underthing means to him, and him kind of like really just jump into the mind of this boy and like why he is the way he is, and just free wind. I mean, it does say that in the author's note, I'm not gonna lie. I don't state like the city it's set in, but it's pretty obvious. It's set in a mirror, and it's set 151 years before Hugo, so it's set in the year 1109. How did you come up with the alchemy part in the story? You spent 9 pages describing a boy making a bar of soap, and it's amazing. LOL. Thank you, Sleigh Bell Sally. I love alchemy in general. Like, I just think alchemy, even though, like, in real life, especially in school, I sucked eggs at chemistry and alchemy in class. Like, I was just, like, spilling potions and beakers all over the counter, and I was exploding things and messing up the ingredients. I sucked at it. But I love writing about it. I don't like doing it in real life, but I like writing about it. I find alchemy so interesting. Like, especially in historical times, because alchemy is very different in historical times compared to obviously the modern age, and it's so advanced now that it doesn't even feel like alchemy. But back in like medieval times, and even like up into through time periods, it's just so interesting. Like, I love like the look of it, like copper tubing and glass vials with corks in them and potions and kind of like wiring and stuff. It's just so badass. And I wanted to make him experience with alchemy because he's smart, and he learned alchemy from his dad because his dad was an alchemist. And that book he has is a little special book that someone close to him wrote. But I spent 9 pages describing him making soap because I wanted to show how little of something that wouldn't normally mean something to someone like a noble. Like, they're like, oh, I'm out of soap. I guess I'll just go, like, buy another one at the, corner shop down the street. But in Wynn's situation, he didn't have that opportunity. He can't go up in the surface and look and go and just walk into a store and just buy a bar of soap. Number one, he didn't have any money. He has no money. He's a 9-year-old boy that looks grubby and he's starved. And people would probably capture him and put him somewhere. And he was afraid. And so I wanted to show how much him making that soap meant to him. That meant everything in the world to him. Is the underthing its own living thing? Like, it's not like a creature, but it's a place. But it does have its own energy. So it does feel like its own living thing. Because you guys have been theorizing, and I've been seeing this every now and then, is that you guys believe that the underthing, when people go down there or live down there for a certain amount of time, like Ori and now Wynn, their mind changes and warps, and they become just a different person than they originally were before then, which, that's true. I'll admit that. How ancient and old is the underthing? It's very, very old. I won't tell you exactly how old it is, but just read chapter 9 a few times, you'll get it. More than 600 years old and less than 5,000 years old. Is it a novella connected to Hugo the Bloodless? Loosely, yes, because of chapter 9. Your prose is unbelievable. How did you come up with certain things to say, like different items that have meaning? I don't know what you mean by that. I think you mean like when I'm describing items and I'm like, it has hearthlight in it, and it has a secret, and that milk jar had a smile on its heart. I think, is that what you're asking? He's typing. Okay, yeah. I just write what I would like to read in a story. Like, if I was a reader and I wasn't the author, and I saw this book on a shelf in the store, and I picked it up and opened it up, that is something that I would find gorgeous to read. That I would love the wordplay. Because I just love describing things like that. And Hugo the Bloodless in general, and even all the Tales of Tyranid I've written, which is only 3, and I'm working on the 4th right now. The style of writing is so different compared to a lot of my other books that I had to, number one, obviously write it in the style of Hugo the Bloodless, or it just would fall flat. And it would kind of be weird if it wasn't written in that style. But I love that type of prose. Like, just And there's not many authors, and I'm not trying to call any other authors, there's not many authors that can do that. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but there's not many authors that can do that type of writing. And I just love it. I just love writing like about menial human things that normally in our day-to-day life wouldn't really mean jack shit to us. But like a jar of milk, it has a smile in it. Or this pear had sunshine on its stem. Like, to that kid, you have to think about it, to that kid, that is everything to him. That is like the sweetest gift he could ever receive. And so he's also a child. He's 9 years old. So it's a game to him. He thinks of it in a playing term where it's like, because it amuses himself. He's finding a way to amuse himself mentally. And so he looks at it and be like, oh, that rock looks like it has hearthlight in it. Or that sky looks like it's purple instead of blue. Like, because he's alone, he has to make these things for himself. But I also just love writing about stuff like that. Like, it's just pretty. Would you have changed anything in the story or the ending, or are you happy with it? Nope. Completely happy with it. I wouldn't change a single thing. Who is the mother that gives food to Win in chapter 4? She's not like a main character. She won't ever appear in any other story. It was just a nice farming mother, basically. Did you want to make it longer? I usually write till I feel like a story is told and when I feel like it's finished. No, I'm happy with the length. The Alchemist and the Far Below is really sad. Like, really sad. Yeah. What is the message or theme it entails? It's about loneliness, really. It's basically about loneliness and like what it can do to a person. And so normally when people write a story like that or a movie's depicted, it's about an adult. I've never seen in movie or book someone write about a child being lonely in that way, in an adult way, not a childlike way, an adult way. It's about him living in the Underthing and ruling over his Iron Kingdom, and him trying to survive, and him being lonely and kind of trying to overcome it. I mean, it's a bit more complicated than that because he's not mentally all there. But yeah, basically it's what it is. Did you originally always plan to have Win die? Yes. Question 18. Chapter 9 reveals a lot. Number 1, what are embryos? Are they a new thing in Tierment? Also, what is the room Win finds? Is it a secret part of the archives? I noticed all the items he found as sympathy lamps, schemas, and unbreakable glass. Who is the guy in the painting? I love this novella so much I've read it 3 times already. Thank you. There's like 5 questions in one. You can't do that. Don't try to bedazzle your way. Bedazzle? Is that a word? I don't think it is, but I think I made it up to suit my needs. I can answer that very vaguely. Yes, embryos are a new thing in Tierment, and it has to do with fortune telling, and that's all you will know. The room that Win finds is up for you to discover, good sir. It is up for you to find out the mystery and the secrets behind that. Depending on how many of you guys have read it, because I can see you guys fucking spewing text in the Discord chat. Yes, he does find sympathy lamps. He does find schemas and an unbreakable glass, which is one that Rivlin mentions to Hugo at one point. Who is the guy in the painting? I'm not going to give that away, because that is actually kind of spoilery. When did you decide to develop the story into more of an emotional one? That's kind of the same as the other question. About chapter 3, is Win sick? What happened to his family and how did he get down there? So this has been debated a little bit with you guys, because there's just enough plot that you guys could figure it out on your own, but not enough to where it may have you guys still questioning. That's what I wanted to do. So for those who did read it, because I think the majority of you guys are saying, who read it? A couple of you guys type in the chat, because I don't want to give away a spoiler to someone who hasn't read the story yet. Yes, his family got sick from plague. I won't tell when they died, though. And how did he get down there? I mean, it's explained in the story. I mean, it's slightly more vague for reasons, but because I wanted it to be a little vague. Have your guys' mind kind of tickle a little bit about it? But he gets down there because he basically is scared. And he lost his family and doesn't know what to do. So he runs down there and hides because they were going to take him away to a not so good place. Wait, I just clicked with something. Did Wynn name all the places in the Underthing? That is one. Yes, he did. He named all the places in the Underthing. What is the mysterious coin that Wynn finds? The burnished coin. I recognize it as the Emir symbol. Why does Black Door scare him? Because you always say there's 3 ways out of Mantle. Because it's just ominous looking to him, and as a kid, stuff like that is scary. Because it's like, it's dark looking and it's weird and strange to him. But he can also kind of feel the energy pulsing from it, and he thinks it's not good at first. There's a lot of bedrooms, vanities, wardrobes, and different places in the Underthing that aren't just pipes and steam wheels. Also, when he was going to the center of everything and the Underthing to meet his parents, you describe him going through different crumbling gardens, taverns, a tailor shop, a candle shop, and many other things. I also like that you described that the splintering of the barrels reminded him of bruises on a cheek, and the smell of sawdust reminded him of the smell of sores. That was really good imagery. Thank you. These questions I cannot answer. You must figure out for yourself, my friends. What was the 4th tile meaning? Is that Ori and Hugo in the tile, and then there's Wynn under a pile of red autumn leaves, and he's not moving? What is the meaning behind it? Well, good sir, I think you just answered the question for yourself. What does the 5th tile mean, and why does he keep it for himself but not the others? Because that meant something to him. It was close to his heart, and that was just for him to keep. That was for him, basically. And it shows him ruling over his little iron kingdom, all proud and elegant on his throne, in the center of the heart, in the middle of everything, in the middle of all things. And so, not only did he just feel brave and proud of himself and accomplished, it's an accomplishment for him. That he feels like he's conquered this place, and it's his to own and his to kind of have his own fief over it, his own castle, basically, his own kingdom. As emotional and sad as it was, and him talking to his parents. What the hell is that ending? Why don't we get to see Wynn's parents? That ending is better than him actually sitting down and having a conversation with non-existent parents. It was more bittersweet. And you just don't get to see it. You just don't get to see it. I'm that cruel. I'm that cruel as an author. The light Foxen, was it a metaphor of Wynn's older brother? Did his brother study at the university? Yes. Where did Wynn get his fashion and clothes? His outfit seems different compared to Hugo's time period. Yes, the fashion was actually slightly different than when Hugo is alive. It was a little bit more, it's a little bit more rustic. Even a tiny bit more even medieval, if I could say that in that style. But yeah, it's different. It's more like hand-me-down clothing. So like his like kind of like threadbare brown jacket with the loose, very few wood buttons, and the red feathered hat, and the very plain breeches, and he was barefoot, but the shoes back then were like just boots, like riding boots. Like the fashion, yeah, is a little bit different. It wasn't as fancy. Why did you want to make it sad? Number one, because I like writing sad stuff and it's more intriguing to me and emotional. It's sad. It's about a kid dying and being all alone in the dark. Why did you write something like that? Why did you want to write something like that? Because I can. Because I wanted to. Because I find those stories more rewarding to read, and it plucks at the heartstrings, and it's a good human story. As terrible and as tragic as it is, I don't think I've ever read a book where you actually write about a kid dying. That was really rough. Yeah, But I want to do stuff different than other authors. I want to write other stories that go beyond the boundaries. Is Wynn traumatized? What disorders does he have? We got 2 more questions here. Yes, he is traumatized because of how he lost his family and like kind of running away, and now he's on his own and he's thirsty and he's starving. And he's alone. He doesn't have anyone except for his mantle, his bedroom, and the items that he associated personalities with. And that's why all the items to him have personalities and auras and energy, because he's alone. He's like, his real life was taken away from him, the life he had in reality. So he's just replacing it to cope and associating items and small things with his family and with things that he knew growing up as a young boy, and to make himself feel better. So it's very sad, but he's extremely traumatized. His head's not screwed on correctly anymore. And so even though there's glimmers of it that breaks through the light, where he does get normal a little bit, like in chapter 2 where he gets afraid, he suddenly doesn't know where he is and he's panicking and he's calling out to his brother. It's definitely like that. The disorders he has, he has a couple. There's 4 main disorders. Number 1, he has depression. Number 2, he's traumatized from losing his family dying and him going into hiding and kind of escaping the law, or like people that would take him away to somewhere where he would be horribly mistreated. He's lonely. He is afraid. But the disorders, he has major OCD. Major OCD. And he's autistic. Was it emotional to write it? Oh yeah. 100% emotional. I cried a few times, especially towards the end. Pretty similar to Fitzroy's story. And even writing like this stuff when he was panicking, like, it's just really sad. Like, it's just a 9-year-old boy that's just alone, and he doesn't have anyone anymore, and he doesn't have anyone to take care of him, so he has to look out for himself. It was very emotional to write. It was very hard to write about a young boy that was gonna die. And it was just, it's making me tear up a little bit. In chapter 9, what was it? It was an old library, decrepit, crumbling stone, rotting wood, and bookshelves, and a bare stone floor with many books. So figure it out for yourself, sir. Last question, guys. Did you enjoy writing it? How connected are you to Wynn? Very connected. I really enjoyed writing this. It's honestly one of my favorite novellas I've written. Just because of how I told it, how I wrote it, the story it tells, and it was fun getting to reveal little mysteries and secrets along the way and exploring the underthing to its full potential and to its full birth and full starkness. It's so awesome. It was so fun. And just kind of getting to describe not only what the places looked like more, but also like what it was like being there, and like what it's like being in the dark, and like the feel of it, the steam on the walls and the pipes and the coldness and the damp and stone, and just like how big it is. And it's just unique. It's basically a whole underground city. And so yeah, it's really cool. And it was so fun writing it. But I am very connected to Wynn. Emotionally, I am very connected. Mentally, I am. He's one of my favorite characters I've ever created, I think. Was the Underthing an actual town that collapsed? Thank you guys so much for coming here and, just like asking me all these questions about it. It was super fun to answer them. You guys, it's always a blast to hang out with you guys. Thank you so much. And yeah, it was nice. I haven't done a Q&A in a while, so thank you guys for coming. And I'll probably do another Q&A. It'll probably be a couple months before I do another Q&A. But you guys had some very good questions. Thank you guys for asking me. It was a joy answering them. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another stream or questionnaire or YouTube video or a new book that's released. So have a good day or night wherever you guys are in the world. Hope your wintry life is going well, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.